welcome in the Tempe, Arizona for Arizona State University's National Tournament Hockey Preview Show. I'm Nick Merrick, bringing you all the action up here in the booth, and what's certainly going to be a very exciting ride for the Sun Devils as they're taking on their last practice before heading to Chicago for the national tournament. Josh Franz and Ryan Hess are both working cameras as we're bringing you all the production, with Casey Fier soon to be on interviews once we get a break in the action. But what's been an emotional ride for the Sun Devils will certainly be a bigger one this weekend, as on Saturday afternoon, 2:30 Arizona time, they're going to be looking for their first tournament win since 2009. Both the past two seasons obviously were snubbed as they lost to Oklahoma in 2011 and then Oakland in 2012. But real quick, let's go over a little bit of the bracket layout for you so we can see exactly what's going on and who to expect. Obviously, the Sun Devils coming at the 2 seed, with just ahead of them is Adrian, and then rounding out the top 6 will go is going to be number 3, Minot State, number 4, Ohio, number 5, Robert Morris, Illinois, and number 6, Oklahoma. So those would be the potential teams to watch. However, we've seen in the past some teams make a run, most notably the Oakland Grizzlies just a year ago when they made it to the championship, and they took on Delaware and eventually lost to them. But interesting point is the Sun Devils may take on Delaware in the second round, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So the first round's going on Friday, as we'll have Central Oklahoma taking on Niagara, as the winner will move on to play the 3-seed in Minot State. Then the Sun Devils play-in game is number 15 Navy against number 18 Rutgers. If you want more information on that matchup, just be tuning in to CronkiteSports.com and plenty of other platforms, as we've been breaking down quite a few bits of our national preview show. Also, number 16 takes on number 17 Rhode Island. That winner will advance to take on Adrian. And then rounding out the play-in game, so to speak, on Friday is number 13 Liberty and number 20 John Carroll, as John Carroll got in via the automatic conference bid. But the teams going out here, in terms of the top 4 teams, when you really look at them, they come in with a lot of a different-looking team, so to speak. Specifically with Adrian, this is a team that knocked off the Sun Devils' reign. They've been in the number 1 spotlight for quite some time now, and they get it done on the ice. They have not slipped up in the second half. Their leading scorer is Sennett Patton, as he comes in with 68 points on the season. Also leads the team in both goals and assists. Not surprising. They're 33 goals, 35 assists. And they're a dangerous team, just like the Sun Devils. They have quite a few players who could score. They have 7 players who have double-digit goals on this season, and around 10 who have 20 or more points. So it's a very offensive-minded team. In terms of goaltending, it is a little bit more of a weaker spot, I guess you could say, but not that much more. So there is very valid reasons why why the Bulldogs are sitting at top of the ACHA going into the national tournament, as those seeds have stuck since about 3 weeks ago when the brackets were officially released. Obviously, in terms of ASU, it's Colin Heckel and Cale Dolinsky on top of the leaderboard there. 54 points for Heckel, 53 for Cale Dolinsky. Dolinsky leads the team with 30 goals, Heckel 30 assists, both team leading. Also, Heckel and Dolinsky have 9 shorthanded goals and 14 power play goals combined between the two. So, the Sun Devils have some pop in their specialty teams, as we'll see how that's going to be able to branch out. And taking a look at some other teams as well, as obviously you can't look past Minot State, as they've gotten the job done against the Sun Devils, have not lost to ASU in the 3 times they've scored off. So if the Sun Devils were to meet up with Minot State, well, depending on the reseeding that happened to the semifinals, but it could be in the semis if it were to work out where the top 4 seeds would all advance. And we're going to take a quick pause in that. Let's go down to the ice quick for Casey Fier with an on-ice interview with Darcy Charwar.
Darcy, you've had maybe one of the best seniors ever. How great would it be to cap it off with a national championship?
Yeah, that was the goal from the beginning of the year. So just to go there, have a good tournament, and do what we want to accomplish.
What has the defense been working on in practice this week heading into the tournament?
I mean, it's just kind of similar stuff we've been working on all year. Quick passes, taking everybody to the net, really cleaning out in front of the net so there's not those second, third chances. Otherwise, we're just kind of sharpening everything up and getting ready.
Thanks, Darcy. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Casey. Is Darcy Charwar, one of the senior leaders here of Arizona State University, played a very fantastic second half, as Sun Devil fans are very well aware of. Just to give you his stat line, he has 6 goals and 19 assists, so good for 25 points in 38 games. But the a big reason why he's been such a key component of the Sun Devils is ever since January started in the new month, he's had 4 of his 6 goals and then 4 assists as well. So 8 points in about a span of 10 games or so is very good production from the blue line for the Sun Devils. That's what they're going to need come the national tournament. Back to the 3 and 4 seeds as Minot State comes in. They're the best defensive team in the ACHA. Both their goaltenders are phenomenal as they go with the dual system. Wyatt Walsenchuk and Riley Hangen both have goals against average below 2, and their save percentage are at 94% respectively. So they're going to be 2 goaltenders, very sound, and their defense is locked down. That's how they damage teams. They come in basically then with the goaltender stats. They don't allow more than 2 goals a game, so very tough to beat any team. For any team in the ACHA to top off the Beavers. Logan Haroff is currently leading the team with 47 points, and they have, they still do have the offensive production, just like the Sun Devils. 6 players in double-digit goal scoring on this season, so very valid reason why they're number 3. But they are going to be quite the team to watch in the national tournament because they always say defense wins championships, and whoever comes in with the hottest goaltender typically has the best chance of doing well. If you're wondering why, just ask Oakland, and Delaware eventually won it. But looking at it, the Sun Devils only scored 5 goals against Minot State over the weekend. They played University of Arizona in the middle of February, only allowed 3 goals that weekend to them. Then they played a non-ACHA team, 2 goals allowed as that wrapped up the month of January and the first day of February. And to close off the January month, they didn't allow a goal either. So in the past 10 games, Minot State has only allowed a combined, and are you ready for this? A combined 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 goals. Phenomenal defense over there in North Dakota. They're going to take their best chance in the national tournament. So they will also be a team to watch. Then wrapping out the Final 4 as we head back over to Ohio, one of the Midwest teams competing in the 2013 ACHA National Tournament. And much like the other 4, very poised to win a championship. Tyler Pillmore leading the team with 55 points. More of a playmaker, however, his 43 assists has been his capstone of the 2013 season. And there's been a trend in the top 4. They've all been goal scorers. They're able to put pucks on net. And in terms of goaltending, that's where the other teams are going to be able to capitalize if they want to take advantage of Ohio, because Ohio opened the ACHA season as the number 1 seed, but with a 3.09 goals against average, that's certainly going to have them slip. But enough of me. Let's go down to the ice. We'll have an interview with another senior defenseman.
For U of A. In that first game.
For the next, and it's just days away now. Friday is the official practices and the first 4 games that we mentioned. So right around the corner for these guys, having to take a week off of school from their respective universities or colleges. 20 teams will be participating. But that'll do that for our top 4 roundup. In terms of what team is going to be State because of defense and how well they played down this stretch. Whatever team has momentum typically does very well in the national tournament. And if you're looking for a dark horse maybe outside, plenty of people are going with Oklahoma as they've been keeping an eye on them because their offensive productivity and the fact that they've been banged up has not even affected them in the second half of this season. And I've even seen some speculation of a team like Lindenwood who was able to rebuild their entire roster after that slow first half. Lindenwood's looked like a completely different team on the ice, so they could be a team to watch as well. But 4 games in 5 days, that's what the Sun Devils are looking at. That's what they need to come in and take advantage of. And they are built for this type of pressure. The reason head coach Greg Powers put the team on the road for the final 4 games of the season was prepare them in a different atmosphere that the Sun Devils maybe weren't quite used to. And obviously most notably that was in Tucson Convention Center where the fans supposedly reached above 5,800 fans in the stadium in attendance in a rivalry game. The Sun Devils capitalized. Probably not the way they would have wanted to with 2-1, 3-1 victories. However, they did sweep U of A this season, all 8 in a row. They've now won 32 in a row against their rivals. But it's that road test that really proved that the Sun Devils should stick with the best of them, even with a very depleted roster. About 8 players at one time did not even play in Minot State. They were able to force one game to a shootout, as the other one was more of a decisive victory for the Beavers. But it's a team that's very built for a championship. They've been saying all season long that's been their goal. That's why most of the new recruits came here. They know this is the ACHA powerhouse. It has been now for basically the past 2+ seasons. So can they win it all is the question. And the answer to that is yes. If you want the blunt answer, this team has the potential of doing it. Joe Dealy is playing phenomenal in net. They have the offensive talent to do it. They're arguably one of the best teams in the ACHA. Obviously, the number 2 seeding reflects that. But it's a team that's been a little bit slower in the second half, and that's where fans are starting to speculate and say, you know, what's it going to take to get this team over the edge? Is start off the season 19-0. Their loss that broke it up was against Penn State. So if you even look at that, they took one of 2 games at Penn State, NCAA Division I opponent. As that's been a pretty significant difference. But first time ever they've been the number 1 seed in the ACHA. The recruiting class is arguably the best the Sun Devils have had in the history of this program, and especially in head coach Greg Powers' mind. They beat Penn State, I mentioned. They went to a Canadian road trip, and that was one where Powers really wanted to focus and try to branch his team out. So one of the few teams in the ACHA who didn't have a chance to enjoy their holiday, so to speak. Well, obviously they did. They got to play more hockey. But they didn't get the rest that some teams had. Some of their biggest ACHA wins, obviously the revenge against Oakland. They swept Lindenwood for the first time in history. They swept both Oklahoma schools 3 games in a row on the road for the first time in history. So this team has quite a few really prestigious victories under their belt. And then on top of that, then it all went downhill a little bit just because of the health. The health issue has been a big concern for the Sun Devils. They've been banged up. They went down to Tucson. Captain Colin Heckel did not play. Kale Delinsky didn't play in the second game. That's 2 of the top stars of the Sun Devil team. Joe Dealy missed the entire weekend series in Minot State, mind you. So Corey Frank did his duties in that, played fantastic as well for not seeing much action in the second half. So we got 3 back-to-back-to-back games, which will poise him for a tournament run if the Sun Devils will need him. Kyle Dietrich also waiting in the wings. Corey Chisholm missed some time on the ice. Darcy Charwar, we just interviewed, missed the last weekend as well down in Tucson. Liam Norris obviously out for about 2 months of time. Brett Preckle missed the entire season. It's been a banged-up team nonetheless, but they're finally expected to have a full, healthy lineup come national tournament. That's what head coach Powers has been expecting, as there's a big reason for the Sun Devils to take it all in Chicago, and that's the mindset they're going to go in with. So I don't know if you'd really say there's any bad losses from the Sun Devils team They've had their share. Maybe you could say one of the Minot State games. I mean, you'd like to see them scrap away with one, but just due to injury and the fact that this team was more focused on getting healthy for nationals, which any program in this country, you can't blame them for wanting to do that. As right there, we're getting a good look in on Kyle Dietrich in net. And what he's going to be able to do is, keep in mind, this is a very poised goaltending set with 3 solid goaltenders who could easily take reins of Joe Dealy and step in any time. That's why Coach Powers is using the 3 goaltender system. Didn't use it as much in the second half, but it doesn't really matter. The fact is they get the job done. They match up very well, actually, with Minot State in terms of defense. They played better defense in the second half. So for head coach Greg Powers, let's focus back on him and what he's been able to do with this Sun Devil program. Obviously brought in a very prestigious recruiting class. He has one of the better programs that this program has seen. The first time the Sun Devils have ever won 30 games. And this team has kind of just been rolling. He's a very personal player coach. He understands what the team is going through. He's hard to him in the locker room. He's kind of a no BS coach, so to speak, where he expects his team to come in with the same passion every single day, whether it's September or the final practice here before the national tournament. And the players respect that. They have their leadership inside, so he's very good at giving off to leadership roles. I mean, obviously the guys wearing the A's and C's, Colin Heckel, Cale Dolinsky, Danny McCall, Brian Parson, are the notable ones. And his recruiting style is more, you got to come play for us. If you want a championship, we want to say we're going to be a team who could build it around that. And we could bring in some of the best recruits in the country. Heck, they've even recruited up in Canada and more Canadian recruits to come. At least we're expecting in the upcoming off season. But, his goals are not just in the national championship. He has plenty more goals for this team. Is it a D1 team in the future? It very well could be. If they get some sponsorship, this team is more than capable, and they've shown that, especially against capstone victories against Penn State, that they could compete with lower-end, middle-end Division I opponents right now and eventually build through scholarships. Because keep in mind, the ACHA is a group of guys who cannot, they can't do much in terms of recruiting. You have to get a guy to commit. Obviously, there's not much fees to play hockey here, but you got to be able to enroll in school, and education comes first in the ACHA, and that's what Sun Devils taking pride in. All the Sun Devil seniors as well are going to be graduating with 3.0s and above. A couple of them even to go above the 3.6 mark, which is obviously just shows that this program is not only built on the ice but off the ice and how they handle things. And when you look at recruiting in a program itself, you can't overlap the general manager and Ken Lind. Lind's done a fantastic job right besides Greg Powers, and those two have been a powerhouse, so to speak, working together for the past 4 seasons now. And, man, just the talent that we're seeing on the ice with the Sun Devil team. I mean, just taking a look at the practice, I know I haven't focused much on it. I don't really want to. I'd rather recap what's going on in the tournament. They've been working on different offensive sets. That's what the Sun Devils are going to need to do. They've been wanting to simplify their offense. I mean, to the right-hand side of the screen, they're working on power play units. So if we'll go... I'm sure we'll just different look. They're trying to get things going. They want to work on the 2-on-1 breakouts, the face-offs in the center. Just a bunch of different drills, very basic, so to speak, but they're trying to fine-tune them. That's what the tournament is all about, and fine-tuning their rosters before championship. Prepare them against the best in the ACHA. But heading into the national tournament, there are really no disadvantages to being an ACHA team, as this is a very prestigious association. It's not D1, D2, D3, but to be completely honest, over half of the teams competing in the ACHA tournament could beat a Division II team in the NCAA on any given night. I'd say about a good top 6 teams in the tournament that we just mentioned at the beginning of the show can easily upset a Division I opponent on the drop of a dime. So it's very, it's going to be interesting to see how the tournament's going to shape up, what to expect. I mean, the guys know. I mentioned it, 4 games, 5 days. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. And now we'll switch gears and focus a little bit on some of the Sun Devils. And one of the big things, obviously, the senior leadership from this team. 7 seniors are going to be graduating from the program. Brett Preckle is the one who's been with the program, but it will not be competing just because of the injury he suffered back in October against Iowa State. But obviously he'll be taking the trip up with the team as well. The other 6 seniors, 3 defensemen, 3 other forwards minus Preckle. And that's Dan Sterna, Dan Anderson, Phil Sansone. Those are the forwards. And on defense, Darcy Charwar, Brian Parson, both interviewed. And then Ryan Clark caps them off. As Sterna played 3 seasons with the Sun Devils, Sansone, Anderson, and Parson are the ones that are going all 4 years. Clark played 2 years with ASU. And what's been a very good leadership in a team that's also young. So it's a good mix of vets and newcomers that have been the reason the Sun Devils have been able to be so successful. But I mentioned earlier in the show, defense wins championships. So let's take a look at the Sun Devils' defense. On the blue line, head coach Greg Powers had to shift things due to injuries in the past. Obviously, Jordan Young, the most notable because he's been out the most significant amount of time, as he has not played at all in the month of February. But he is expected to play in nationals. Mind you, every Sun Devil is supposed to play in national tournaments. They've just sat players out for precautionary reasons in the final 2 weekends. But the line change have done the Sun Devils justice. They've had a different mix. It's not the same pairing because Coach Powers told us, some of these guys have been used to playing with each other for a year and a half, and he wanted to change that. Parson and Charwar saw a lot of time together. Clark was interested with the 2 of them. Obviously, all those guys being seniors, but they're used to playing with each other week in and week out, in practice, off the ice, socializing during games, and it was in need of a change. That's where Kyle Hughes, Brett Blomgren, and Sean Ritchie, and obviously Jordan Young all stepped in because they can mix it up. They kind of separate all the seniors. So having a senior on a different lineup has actually done very well for Arizona State, as they haven't allowed many goals either in the second half of the season. And speaking of senior leadership, let's just go down and check out Colin Heckel with Casey Fieng and see what the senior captain has to say about his team making a potential run in the tournament.
What's been the feeling in the locker room this week heading into the tournament? Are you guys calm? Are you excited?
Really excited. It's been pretty upbeat. Guys are excited to get there and get that first practice in, get the first game out of the way, and make a strong run into nationals.
What's it going to take to get the win in that first game and really redeem yourself from what happened last year?
Just don't lose our focus. Last year we got up 2-0, lost our focus. They came back. So this year we can't have anything like that. We have to play a full 60 minutes no matter who we're playing and play with 100% effort.
Skating a full 60 minutes is always important. How well conditioned is this team?
Really, really good. We actually had a little bit of a rough week against Minot. Got back to a 60-minute no pucks, no net skate. And all the guys actually made it through the whole thing and weren't even that tired. So I was actually really pleasantly surprised with that.
Sounds like fun. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, thank you.
Back to you, Nick.
I mean, right there, you're hearing the seniors say it. It's going to come down to just focus and seeing if this team can win it all. And, obviously it brings up a valid point. But really quick, let's go back to some of the goaltenders as we have to focus on them. We got Dealy right now as he's taking his shift off and enjoying it the most he can. But it's a team that comes in. Joe Dealy has been the leader of the goaltending unit. He comes in 24-4 record, a 2.31 goals against on average, 91 save percentage, also 3 shutouts on the season. So Joe Dealy is the real deal, to make a pun off his name, but it's going to come down to whether him and the defense can start clicking. The offense has been a little bit slower for the Sun Devils in the past, at least in the second half, but it hasn't been the worst by any means. And that's where the defense has stepped in, and if they could hold opponents to 3 goals or so, the Sun Devils are more than capable of exploding for upwards of 5 goals if they need to on any given day. But there's Kyle Dietrich as well, as he's about to come up to center ice, as he's been yet another goaltender. He's played 6 games, 5-1 record for him, 2.72 goals against. and an 89 save percentage are his stat line. But his most notable game is against Oklahoma. And there's Corey Frank rounding out the goaltending tandem. 4-3 on the year, as 2 of those losses came against Minot State, so really more like a 4-1 record for Corey Frank, as he comes in 2.26 goals against on average, 92 save percentage, as Frank was around that 94-95 before the Minot State series, so also very capable goaltender. As head coach Greg Powers has 3 options right there that we just highlighted. Any of those goaltenders could go any given night. Joe Dealy will get the start on Saturday, more than likely. But then, obviously, if you make a deep run, if you get past those first 2 days and you get that Monday bye, and you're looking at Tuesday, maybe that's what you're going to have to consider. Do you go with Corey Frank or Kyle Dietrich and give him a chance to go, just to give Joe one more day of rest before potentially going on to the national tournament? If Joe struggles at any point, if a team gets 2 quick goals on him, then, hey, we're going with this. We're either going to go with junior Dietrich or sophomore Frank. And there's really no issues there, or no gaps, so to speak, in the Sun Devil lineup when it comes to that. But we'll have Joe Dealy coming over. So speaking of goaltenders, let's grab an on-ice interview with them right now.
Joe, you already have a national championship with Davenport, but how great would it be to get one with ASU?
Definitely be better. 2 is better than 1.
What have you personally been working on in practice this week before heading off to the tournament?
Just staying sharp, just working on the things that I need to be successful at nationals, and just the small parts of my game.
How excited is this team to get on the road tomorrow and get going?
We're pretty excited. We just want to get there, get settled in, and get ready on Friday with practice, and then get going on Saturday.
Thanks, Joe. Back to you, Nick.
Joe brings up a very good point there. You say he just wants to get ready. Obviously, very soft-spoken young man. He's obviously very humble, takes the game seriously, has his own pregame rituals and whatnot, but he's always in the zone on game days. That's what it comes down to. And this final practice, like a game day for these guys, is it's a no sweat type of deal. You got to focus on this and take it like it's going to be the game tomorrow. Yeah, you have a couple extra days. But before we close off the show, final couple minutes, let's talk a little bit about some awards and give them out to the players. And let's focus first on some of the unsung heroes. These are players that teams should be aware of when they take on ASU in the national tournament. And, one of those you have to look at is Kyle Bowen, is one of the guys that first comes off the list, and just from everything that he's done in the past weekend, he came in at the mid-season mark. He scored 2 goals against U of A, which may not say much, but he had 40% of the goals for the Sun Devils, and he's really stuck at home to what he's done best. He's been a big playmaking center when he needs to be. He has the goal-scoring potential. And he's a freshman that's really embraced this role on both the second and third lines. And he'll be someone to watch. I mean, if coming into this game, just to give you numbers rather than just some hearsay, in 19 games, he has 6 points, but the most notably is that 3 of those came in the past 2 weekends, and that's the momentum it's going to take, because when guys are injured like Colin Heckel and you have your seniors out, who's going to step up? And what not a better story than one of the freshmen? And then another one, if we're sticking on the freshman track, is Fez Khan. Fez Khan's a guy who's really taken this program around. He comes in with 25 points. But this is a player that his Sun Devil career is just beginning, as he comes in as a sophomore transfer. And he's very capable of being a 50-point scorer for head coach Greg Powers and the Arizona State program. So keep an eye on him. Stephen Collins has been a freshman, one of the guys in the new coming class who's struggled recently, to say the least. It's a guy who's trying to find his confidence. Coach Powers has been throwing him with different combinations on the ice. Hasn't been working quite yet for Stephen. But, I mean, it's a guy who could obviously 40 points or 40 games, 39 points, about a point a game. But it's that final stretch that's really hurt him since the Rhode Island series to end the month of. He only has 2 points. There was an assist against U of A and a goal against Minot State. So that's not quite what you'd expect either in the final 9 games of the season to only have 2 points. But it's what he done in the beginning of the season. The fact that this Sun Devil team is coming back completely healthy. He's had explosive games. Eastern Michigan and Robert Morris are both 2 games where he had 5-point games. He started off the season with 6 points in 4 games. He had 4 points over those series against Lindenwood. So he's proven to play against very, very competitive teams around the league. And really looking past that, I mean, heck, unsung heroes can almost be anybody. Just want to highlight some of the newcomers, but anyone can step up. We've seen the senior class. I don't even need to say their names. They've been one of the most dominant forces on the ice here in Oceanside Arena for their entire time spent. They're the reason the program is where it is now. And this team is excited. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're a group of players ranging anywhere from 20 to 26 years of age who are just eager to get to the national tournament setting and see what they could do. But U of A, the 2 wins there in the sweep, gave them, they gave them confidence going forward. We're going to have, just a span of 48 hours until this team's flying out and going to Chicago. And then it's going to be, can you get that first game? So previewing the first game, it's Navy or Rutgers. That's the 2 that the Sun Devils have on their plate right now. That's what they're focused on. They've been doing that model the entire time. And they've been saying it's going to be 1 game at a time, and it's no different now. When you look at Navy's roster, they came in, they did very well in their conference. Thomas Crissell is the leading point scorer in the ACHA. 45 goals, 40 assists, 85 points. And then his top line is obviously phenomenal, because if you have a guy getting 85 points, the others are going to just get their points through him. But then it drops off from that. Their second line's not as strong. It's a team who really has not been tested much during the regular season. And just taking a quick look at their schedule, their one signature win, or one of the bigger ones, was earlier in the season against Delaware when they beat them 4-1. They played Stony Brooks, they played Rhode Island's, they played Westchester's, Lebanon, Villanova, Drexel, Lehigh, Scranton, Towson, Ryder, Penn State, Berks. I mean, all those teams besides 2 of them are not even tournament teams. So their very favorable schedule is what's been helping them. It's basically like the Sun Devils taking on, every single game playing at Williston State for your entire 2012-2013 season. Yeah, you're going to get a player who scores 85 points. There's nothing else to be said. And thus the goaltending and defense are going to look phenomenal. I mean, I don't want to give Navy too much discredit. They are a good program. And now they'll be taking on Rutgers in the opening round on Friday. So the Sun Devils are certainly going to be scouting that game and trying to get a gist of what exactly to expect. And then you look at Rutgers, and that's a team that's just fortunate to even make it to the national tournament. If it wasn't for U of A slipping up against Williston State and then unable to then take a game against Minot State, that gave Rutgers the free walk in the park to take control, and they're kind of in the same position as I mentioned Navy was, as they had a very easy stretch, so to speak, to close off the season. Stony Brook swept them in February. Rutgers has not played a game since February 15th. Whether that's going to be good or bad, I guess we'll find out. That was a loss on top of that. So the last time Rutgers had won a game was February 9th when they blanked Drexel. But they're the same way. They come with a very easy schedule, something U of A did not experience, so U of A finishing just below them. As, player production stats, if you're looking at it, they come in just like, almost mocking a Minot State, except just against weaker opponents. The offense did not really do their job, as whenever they did happen to score, It wasn't often, so let's say, to put it nicely. And goaltending, it's been par at best. 3.5 goals against average for both goaltenders. Brandon DeLibero is the headliner of that one. That means 13-11. So it's a program that has not a ton of wins, but I mean they're definitely more than capable of being in the national tournament just because of what's happened to other teams below them. But we'll take a look at that Saturday game, depending on which team the Sun Devils will face, as we'll be on the call as well in Chicago Nationals. So be tuning in to Fast Hockey and get a look as myself, Nick Merrick, and Casey Fay, who's doing all the interviews today, we'll give you a chance to experiment with the Sun Devils' fortunes. Just to highlight it, after practice, this is what the Sun Devils are all about. They're trying to get a different look. They want to work on some fundamentals in their game. That's Dave Jancy. He's been there time every single day, working on his shooting. As Jancy's been one of those leaders who's been playing fantastic hockey, but just doesn't have the knack to find the back of the net just yet. So he's just going on with Dietrich still. I mean, even right now, you're still seeing he's struggling, but he's not letting it down. He just sets up his pucks, get down to business. As it's been a very fun group of guys, the Sun Devils. Heck, almost roofed it there. But they're prepared. It's a fun atmosphere for this team. They're very well bonded off the ice. They're ready. They're taking it seriously. It's nobody's goofing off. I mean, I don't want to say they have in the past with the Sun Devil program, but compared to 2011, 2012, the team came in almost maybe cocky. Could be a proper word to use into the 2011-2012 national championships, and that ultimately led to their doom. They were just they had off-ice issues. The team wasn't as bonded as this group of guys, and now you look at it, it's almost like you're playing with your friends. You're taking a road trip with your friends, and what's going to be a great experience for these guys going forward. If they win, I guess we'll find out. If they don't, though, just know this team's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the coming years in the ACHA. They're certainly going to be a top 5 team next year, hands down. Despite the seniors leaving, they're only going to get better with the recruiting class. Could be even more dangerous now that they've proven themselves. Mentioned the first time they have 30 wins in their program. And they have those big victories that could get them to the next level. So I wouldn't look too far past Navy and Rutgers, as they should be pretty good for ASU to take care of. As Sun Devils have been more than ready to take on the lower opponents in the ACHA, so to speak. So, I mean, I guess we'll have to keep an eye on what to expect. But the stats speak for themselves. There's 10 players with 20 or more points, and 6 of those players have at least 39. So, if you want a lack of offense, don't look at the Sun Devils because they have plenty of it. And when they're healthy, they are arguably the best team in the ACHA. 2 seed, yes, stands for itself. Could easily be a walk-in-the-park 1 seed if it wasn't for the injuries. And this team could easily have been a 36-win season during the regular season before even heading over to Chicago. So, I mean, these guys chose ASU because they realized that, national tournament's very much alive here in Tempe. They get to play in an environment that's different. I mean, a lot of these guys I mentioned are from Canada, are Canadians from the roster. So, escape the cold, go to a Division I school, and a Pac-12 network. Obviously, this is club hockey, so to speak, but it's a prestigious league that's recognized throughout. Many of these guys continue their professional careers, either walking on with different minor league teams in like the USHL or going abroad. Plenty of these guys go over to Europe to take their talents afterwards. As well, I guess we'll see how the tournament's going to unwind, but that'll do it for our 2013 National Preview Show. Hope you didn't get too bored of listening to me speak for about 30 minutes, but just trying to give you the best coverage possible for the Sun Devils. Board their flights in a matter of hours, as we'll bring you all the coverage as well. FastHockey.com, the site for all the ACHA tournament games. I'll be on the call for all the Sun Devil games, as Casey Fay will be doing interviews as well, so be sure to check onto that. I believe they will be free of cost, so no excuses for not tuning in. It's going to be a great run to the national championship for ASU, but for right now, signing off from Oceanside Arena, Nick Merrick and the Walter Cronkite Sports Network. We'll see you in Chicago.